Alright guys, welcome back to the Gears and Tool channel, and today we are reviewing the Gerber Suspension NXT. This is a nice medium duty multi-tool, maybe a little bit more into the lightweight multi-tool category, but this multi-tool is just under $27, which is a great value. I think this actually might be the best value multi-tool that I've found so far. So for someone who's looking for a backup tool, or maybe their very first multi-tool and doesn't want to spend $100+, this is a great option. So let's go ahead and dive into it. There's a lot to cover. Okay, for the size and weight, we have a length of 4.15 inches, a width of 1.66 inches, and a thickness of 0.72 inches without the pocket clip. And that's kind of at the screws here where it's the thickest. So a really compact multi-tool for the features that you're getting. And it's relatively lightweight too. It comes in at 6.45 ounces. So a really nice size and weight, guys. I'm really digging this multi-tool as far as the form factor and package. It doesn't come with a sheath, but it does come with this pocket clip included, which most multi-tools do not come with a pocket clip. I do want to point out that this pocket clip isn't a really strong pocket clip. It's not going to be overly tight, so that means it's going to be easier to take on and off, but it could be inadvertently bent. But the good thing is, since it's just sheet metal, it's relatively to bend back into place. One other positive thing I want to point out is it's a relatively deep pocket clip, so I believe this will fit all the way over most belt, meaning it's going to be a pretty secure carry if you're clipping it over the belt of your pants. So overall, I like the form factor, I like the carry method, a pretty good start. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look at the pliers. And the first thing I want to say about the pliers is they're spring-loaded, and most multi-tools are not spring-loaded. So I was really happy to see that these pliers are spring-loaded, kind of similar to like the Leatherman Sidekick, the Leatherman Wingman, something like that. So big plus there. I really like spring-loaded pliers. It makes it easier to use if you have gloves or your hands are cold, things like that. So I wish more multi-tools did that, but they don't. So it's good to see that this one does. I like the plier heads. The needle nose pliers are nicely rounded. They're well pointed. They come to a nice precise tip. They have a large flat area for bending metal and things like that, where some of the newer multi-tools I'm seeing, they like to feature stuff to tools. They have a big wire crimping notch in there, which personally I don't find to be very useful. So I like seeing a large flat area for the pliers. You got your standard plier grips there. And then in the nook here, we have a relatively small pair of wire cutters. They're very functional, but they're not overly big. So if the primary thing you use a multi-tool for is cutting wire, this might not be the multi-tool for you. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the plier heads. I'm happy with the spring-loaded pliers. Definitely a solid option. Something else I want to point out is while the two sides are made of sheet metal, they have put these nylon inserts in on both sides to make it a little bit more comfortable to use. So when you're really reaping down on something, it's not cutting into your hand as much. And there's also a lanyard hole built into the end of this plastic nylon insert. So overall, I like the plier heads. I like the handles. They're relatively comfortable. And the fact that they're spring-loaded, it's an added bonus. Closing the tool back up, let's go ahead and take a look at the tools accessible on the exterior. The first tool that I want to pull out is the knife blade, which kind of sort of wants to come out with one hand, but using a second hand is definitely going to help out. It is a locking tool, which is nice. To unlock it, we pull back on the lock bar here, and then to lock it, we just pull out. So I do like that as locking. Some inexpensive tools just use a slip joint, which can accidentally collapse on your hand, which isn't ideal. So I like that as locking. The lockout isn't 100% positive. It does wiggle a little bit back and forth, and side to side feels pretty good. But the lockout's not perfect, but it is a locking blade. The length of the blade is 2.1 inches, which isn't super long, but is very functional. Also, the blade is serrated. About half the blade length is serrated, and the rest of the blade is a straight edge. That's not my preferred method. I prefer to have two blades, one that's a fully straight edge and the other that's fully serrated. However, there's only one knife blade on this particular tool, so it's a combo blade. All right, the next tool on the handle is a large flathead screwdriver and a wire stripper. And I am really glad to see that they have a wire stripper on this tool, because there is only one knife blade. Now, I don't know if you noticed, is when I pulled this tool out, none of the other tools came out with it. They didn't clump together, which is great. Some inexpensive tools sometimes don't put the bronze washers between the tools, which means when you pull one out, they all come out. With this tool, they have the bronze washers between each tool, meaning that when you pull them out, each one comes out individually. For example, when we pull out the next tool, it comes out by itself. And this is a small screwdriver, can opener, and bottle opener. And I actually like this tool a lot. I wish other multi-tools would do this. A lot of them take two tool slots for the bottle opener and then a separate can opener. It was good to see that Gerber made this one tool. The bottle opener works great. I've tried it out. The can opener is not something I really use much, because let's be honest, most of our cans have pull tabs anymore, but it's nice to have in a pinch. It also makes for a good scraper. And the last tool on this handle is a pair of scissors. And this is a tool that a lot of people really look for in a multi-tool. I personally don't use the scissors that often on my multi-tool because, let's be honest, it has a knife blade on it. But this seems to be a pretty good pair of scissors. They feel tight, it opens up relatively wide, and they seem to be long enough. But we're gonna put it to the test. So if you guys have been watching my YouTube channel for a while, you know that the torture test for multi-tool scissors is paracord. So for whatever reasons, multi-tool scissors tend to struggle with paracord. It seems to be kind of the wrong mix of flexibility and thickness. So if this tool can cut through the paracord in one cut, it's a good pair of scissors. If it can't, it's just okay. So let's go ahead and try. And it almost cut all the way through. Let's try again here. Yeah, not quite. It seems that it's cutting most of the way through, and then the tool kind of spreads a little bit, allowing the final strands of the paracord to get pinched in the middle there. So not perfect, but it's definitely better than other pairs of scissors I've seen before. Again, not quite all the way through. So if I support the paracord from both sides, it almost gets it. It takes about 2 cuts. Let's try one more time here. Yeah, this pair of scissors is just okay. It takes 2 cuts to cut paracord in most cases. So I wouldn't say this pair of scissors is the best pair of scissors that I've seen on a multi-tool, but for the price point, it's actually not too bad. Okay, so flipping the tool over, let's take a look at the other features that this tool offers. So this is the Phillips head screwdriver, and I'm glad to see that this isn't one of those flattened out Phillips head screwdrivers. This is a proper full Phillips head screwdriver. And I did try it out earlier. It works pretty good on most of the Phillips head screwdrivers I have around the house. Things like in door jambs, on the hinges and things like that. It fits perfectly. So I also like the longer shank on here. It makes it a little bit easier to work in tighter areas. In a pinch, you can always open the tool up and extend the shank like that. But I like that you can use it in its closed configuration for most things. Okay, so the next tool we have is the awl or scraping tool. I use it primarily as a scraping tool, but this would work as a great awl. I am going to point out that this particular tool isn't overly sharp. I would have liked to see it to be sharper, so it could have been used as a package opener or a secondary knife blade. It's not, it's somewhat blunted, but it is going to work great as an awl or a scraping tool. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the last tool that this multi-tool offers, and that is the file/ruler. And I'll be honest, this is the tool that I'm most underwhelmed with by this multi-tool. The file is not overly impressive. It doesn't come all the way to the end, which I really wish it did. They kind of masked that by turning it into a flathead screwdriver, but there's already a flathead screwdriver on here. I would have preferred that the file serrations came all the way to the tip. On the other side, the ruler, I don't find these short rulers to be particularly useful. It might be helpful for determining the thickness of a bolt or something like that out on a construction site, but honestly, most multi-tool makers just put the ruler markings on the handle itself and turn this tool into something more useful. So I would have preferred something like diamond coating or something like that on this side of the multi-tool, but at this price point, I understand why they didn't. Okay guys, so that was kind of the quick and dirty walk around of this multi-tool. What are the pros and cons, and who do I see this tool being used for? So right off the bat, there's a lot of pros to like about this tool. First, it comes with its own pocket clip, which most multi-tools don't. I do like that the pliers are spring-loaded. That's a huge benefit over other multi-tools. And the machining in general, I mean, the tool runs smoothly. All the individual features come out individually without clumping with the other tools. And they're all pretty thick, and the machining is relatively clean on them. So that's one of the benefits of this multi-tool, is they didn't try to feature stuff this multi-tool with 25 little gimmicks. They stuck to kind of what works. They have 4 tools on one side, 3 on the other. And they're all very stout, robust tools that should take a beating. And the price point is very competitive for a tool with these features. Now the cons I'm going to mention are mostly forgivable because they're features you'd find on more expensive tools. But I'm going to mention them anyways so you can think about them. So the first con is the tool isn't overly sturdy. You kind of get some flex in the frame and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily to the detriment of the function of the tool. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a pass, but that's something you'd get from a tool where you spend a little bit more money. You're going to get something that's a little bit more rugged in the closed position. This tool doesn't come with a sheath of any kind. You're going to have to rely completely on the pocket clip. I personally like carrying a multi-tool like that, but not everybody does. So food for thought, if you need a sheath with your multi-tool, you're probably going to want to look elsewhere. This tool doesn't have premium materials on it anywhere. You don't have an S30V steel blade, you don't have a 154 cm blade or anything like that. It kind of is what the Gerber mystery steel is. It'll probably work for most use case scenarios, but if you're a knife abuser or a heavy user, you're probably going to want to buy one of Gerber's more premium multi-tool options. Now the final con I'm going to point out to you guys is a little bit nitpicky. There's no bit exchanger on this multi-tool. These screwdriver bits you get are what you get. I'm pointing this out because some multi-tools do have a bit exchanger, and if your use case scenario is somewhat unique, let's say you work on computers, for example, and you need a Torx head, this tool is not going to be able to accommodate it. That being said, it's a little bit of a pro too, because there's one less thing to lose. If you lose the bits that go into the bit exchanger, your tool is effectively useless. So a little bit of a pro and a con wrapped into one. All right guys, so like I said earlier, I think this multi-tool would be a great backup tool or a great multi-tool for someone's first tool. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the best heavy-duty multi-tool, and it is a little bit limited in its function due to some of the materials used. However, at this price point at under $27, it's pretty hard to argue with. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button below. It helps the channel out a lot. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell icon so you're the first to be notified when I release new videos just like this one. Cheers!